In this stress test, Linda and Robert both retire at age 62. Each starts with exactly $800,000. 30 years later, Linda still has $2.1 million. Robert's money has been gone for 10 years. They follow the same retirement plan, the same 60-40 portfolio, the same $32,000 first-year withdrawal, and the same 2.5% annual increase in spending for inflation. Over 30 years, they receive the exact same set of annual returns, the same good years and the same bad years, but in opposite order. Only one thing changes: the order. Today, we are going to calculate the number most retirement plans never show you. How long can you keep paying the bills without selling long-term investments during a market crash? I call that your forced sale clock. Most retirees know what their account is worth, but far fewer know how much time they have before a bad market forces them to sell at the worst possible moment. Let us start with Linda. Linda's return sequence begins with a strong market. She takes money out every year, but the market adds more than she withdraws. After 5 years, her $800,000 has grown to about $1.06 million. By year 10, it has grown to roughly $1.4 million. Those early gains do more than grow her balance. They give her margin for error. A $32,000 withdrawal takes 4% out of an $800,000 account. A similar withdrawal from a $1.4 million account does far less damage. Then the bad years arrive. The market falls 9% during 1 year and another 11% the following year. Linda's account takes a hit, but her retirement does not. Even after those losses, her plan remains intact through all 30 years. She might credit the 60-40 portfolio, the 4% rule, or simple discipline. Those things matter. But Robert follows the exact same rules. Robert's return sequence begins with a falling market. During his first year, the market drops about 10%. But the mortgage still has to be paid, and the utility bill still shows up. Medicare premiums and prescription costs do not care what the market did that month. Robert needs $32,000, so he sells investments after they have already fallen. During the second year, the market drops again, this time by about 13%. His spending has also risen with inflation, so he sells again. This is where a retirement plan can begin breaking without the retiree realizing it. When prices fall, you must sell more shares to produce the same income. And every share Robert sells during those first 2 years is a share that can no longer participate in the recovery. By year 3, the market begins to improve. But Robert has less capital left to benefit from it. A 10% gain on $1 million produces $100,000. A 10% gain on $300,000 produces only $30,000. Same return, completely different dollars. After 5 years, Linda has about $1.06 million. Robert has roughly $346,000. Same starting balance, same withdrawals, and the same mix of stocks and bonds. One account has grown past $1 million, while the other has fallen below $350,000. Robert does not overspend. He does not panic, and he does not abandon the plan. He follows it. The problem is that the plan tells him how much to withdraw. It does not tell him which money to use when the market is falling. The market eventually recovers, but Robert's account does not. The market comes back. Robert's missing shares do not. By year 10, Linda has about $1.4 million. Robert has roughly $300,000. He is no longer asking which fund might earn an extra 1%. He is facing the question every retiree fears. Will his portfolio outlast him? In year 20, at age 82, his account hits zero. His 30-year plan still has 10 years left on the calendar. This is sequence of returns risk. It means your average return is not the whole story. The timing of those returns matters just as much. Before retirement, a bear market can be an opportunity. You still have a paycheck, you can keep buying, and you have time to wait. After retirement, the paycheck stops and the withdrawals begin. Instead of buying low, you may be forced to sell low. That is why the same crash can be an opportunity for a 40-year-old and a retirement crisis for a 65-year-old. Now comes the first question. If Linda and Robert earn the same average return, what does the average leave out? Enter 6% into a retirement calculator, and you usually get a smooth line. The balance rises steadily, withdrawals come out, and the plan appears to work. Real markets do not move that way. One year may be up 20%, and the next may be down 30%. The retiree still has to pay the bills during both years. The average return is not wrong, it is incomplete. It tells you what happened over 30 years. It does not tell you what happens when the crash comes first. Retirees do not experience an average, they experience a sequence. So, is this only a hypothetical problem? No. In one comparison using actual United States stock market returns, two investors each started with $1 million in an all-stock portfolio. They took the same inflation-adjusted withdrawals. The first investor retired into the actual return sequence beginning in the year 2000. First came the dot-com crash, and then another major blow arrived during the financial crisis of 2008. The second investor received the exact same annual returns in reverse order. Same returns. Opposite order. One finished with roughly $500,000. The other finished with about $2.44 million. Nearly 5 times as much money. That example uses an all-stock portfolio, which magnifies the effect. Most retirees hold a more diversified mix, but the sequence risk remains. That leads to the second question. Why not simply avoid retiring right before a crash? Because the top of the market does not come with a warning label. You only know a crash was coming after it has already started. Delaying retirement by 1 year does not eliminate sequence risk. It may simply move the dangerous first year forward by 12 months. You cannot choose the order of future returns. So, is retirement just luck? Not entirely. Some viewers may be thinking this. Robert had 40% of his portfolio in bonds, so why did he need to sell stocks? Fair question. A 60-40 portfolio tells you how the money is invested. It does not automatically tell you how the bills will be paid. Bond prices can fall too. And if near-term spending is not clearly separated, withdrawals and rebalancing can still force sales at bad prices. The real question is not whether you own bonds. The real question is how much of your near-term spending is protected from the market. That brings us to the number you can calculate tonight. Start with your essential annual spending: housing, food, property taxes, insurance, medical care, and transportation. Then, subtract income that does not depend on selling investments, Social Security, pensions, and rental income. What remains is the annual gap your portfolio must cover. Now divide the cash, money market funds, and short-term Treasury securities you can use immediately by that annual gap. The result is the amount of time you can avoid selling long-term investments while they are down. That is your forced sale clock. Consider Diane. Diane is 65 and has a $1 million portfolio. Her essential spending is $72,000 a year. Social Security and pension income cover $48,000. That leaves a $24,000 annual gap. Diane has $72,000 in cash and short-term Treasury securities set aside for spending. Her forced sale clock is 36 months. Now compare her with Mark. Mark is also 65, and he also has $1 million. But his essential spending is $90,000. Social Security and pension income cover only $42,000. His portfolio must cover a $48,000 annual gap. Mark has just $24,000 in liquid reserves. His forced sale clock is 6 months. Diane and Mark are both millionaires on paper. Same balance, but very different durability. If the market falls, Diane may be able to wait 3 years. Mark may be forced to sell within 6 months. That leads to the third question. What if Robert had extended his own forced sale clock before retiring? He needed $32,000 during year 1 and about $32,800 during year 2. That is roughly $64,800 for the first 2 years. Suppose that amount had been set aside inside the same $800,000 and held in cash and short-term Treasury securities. No extra money. Same portfolio total, just a different job for part of it. Robert would not have needed to immediately sell long-term investments during the first two declines. Would that guarantee a successful 30-year retirement? No. Cash and short-term Treasury securities may lag during a strong bull market, but that reserve could prevent the move that did the most damage. Selling recovery assets after they had already fallen. Flexible spending can extend the clock even further. That does not mean cutting food, prescriptions, or insurance. It means identifying expenses that can wait: travel, a new car, large gifts, or a non-essential renovation. Suppose $8,000 of Robert's annual withdrawals was discretionary. Delaying part of that spending during a bad market would reduce the number of investments he had to sell. The dollars may look small. The timing is not. Money left invested during a downturn is still there when the recovery comes. Cash buys time. Flexible spending buys time. Social Security and pension income buy time. They all slow the forced sale clock. So, do not judge a retirement plan by the account balance alone. Do not assume $1 million automatically makes you safe. And do not assume $500,000 automatically means failure. Look at your essential spending. Look at the reliable income already covering it. Identify which expenses could be delayed. Then calculate how many months you can live before a down market forces you to sell long-term assets. 6 months? 1 year? 3 years? There is no perfect number for everyone. The danger is not knowing your number. The goal is not to die with the biggest account. The goal is to make sure the account does not die before you do. Tonight, write down 3 numbers: your essential annual spending, your reliable annual income, and your immediately available cash and short-term reserves. Subtract reliable income from essential spending. Then divide your liquid reserves by the remaining gap. That is your forced sale clock. You cannot know when the next crash will arrive, but you can know how much time you will have when it does. On this channel, we take retirement plans that look safe on paper and put them through real stress tests, market crashes, withdrawals, taxes, inflation, and medical costs. We do not stop after showing you where a plan breaks. We test what might help it survive. In the next video, we will look at a retirement account that survives the market, but gets crushed by inflation and rising medical costs. Because sometimes Wall Street is not what destroys a retirement. Everyday life does. Average returns may make a plan look safe. Time is what makes it durable. Before the market tests your retirement plan, we will test it first. Subscribe, and let us see whether your plan can hold up.